Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Arrow Discussions. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
Today we're going to talk about the third episode of Season 2 of Arrow. This is Broken Dolls. Let's go ahead and jump into our general overview. And Eric, how did you overall feel about this one? I thought it was really quite good.
I did. I also thought it was really, really good. What was weird was the first time I watched it, I felt like I spent like half the episode being like, oh, this show's just lost it. And then by the time I got to the end, I was like, that was fantastic. That was one of the best episodes of the series. And when I rewatched it, I tried to find what it was that had me down, and I couldn't find it. I thought the whole episode was great.
Can I ask you a question? Was it potentially the opener?
I don't want to give anything away here on my notes, but the first thing I wrote when I sat down to watch the episode was "hate Laurel" in caps and then an exclamation point.
I thought she was a lot better this episode.
I think this episode has taken her to a place where she literally has no reason to be in the show.
She doesn't, although when we get into predictions, I'll talk about a place I think they could take her. But what I was really, really, really grateful for and breathed a huge sigh of relief is that she's not going to be hunting Green Arrow the entire season.
Yep.
Because I really thought that might happen. And you know, we've already had that with a couple things in the season where I really thought they were going to stretch something out ad nauseum, and it didn't happen. I don't know if you have this. For whatever reason, her father, Officer Lance, just immediately makes me like her more when they're on screen together.
Except for a scene that I'll talk about later.
Okay. But, I mean, you know, I wasn't liking her at all the first two episodes of the season, but, you know, now that... And I've been waiting for Lance to be back and important, and he had a lot to do with what I loved about this episode.
Oh, he's fantastic.
And, he's so good. What do you think about how they're dealing with the demotion? I think that's great stuff.
Oh, I think it's really, really good.
We predicted early on that we thought that eventually they would do the Commissioner Gordon thing with him.
And they had that scene, but it was so different from the way the Commissioner Gordon thing plays.
Did you find yourself watching that scene hoping to God that they wouldn't have the whole Arrow runs away before he can see him and turn around thing? I was really glad they didn't go there.
I honestly, it didn't even occur to me that he was going to do that.
While I was watching, I'm just so used to those scenes with Batman, because they were using a lot of the same kind of angles on the roof, and I was like, are they going to do that?
This has nothing to do with that, but it's
yeah.
But the reverse has become such a trope where it's like the other person disappears and they're like, so that's what that feels like. I was kind of waiting for that to happen.
That's really funny. I love his new relationship with Green Arrow. I think it's really sincere. I buy his motivations for finally working with him. And even though I still have my reservations about what they've been doing with Laurel so far this season and at the end of last season, I really like the flip of how she used to work with him, and now he works with him, and they've completely flipped that. And I think that's working really well.
Well, I don't like her side of it, but I think it works really well with him. And I will say, a lot of what I think doesn't work with Laurel is I don't think the actress can pull off Vindictive.
Yeah, but it helped that it wasn't that finally.
Yeah.
It was kind of predictable. It was sort of where I thought they would go with it, but again, I'm just glad they didn't draw it out forever, because, I mean, you know, she can pull off guilty, I guess.
Yeah, I've got stuff about that. I have a lot of notes this time, and I did my almost scene by scene thing.
Well, then why don't you start us off somewhere then? I just wanted to kind of bring up a couple of general things, but if you got specific notes, let's do it up.
First note I've got after Hate Laurel is I really like that they went with like the weird like thermal detonator sonic scream.
Me too. I like it.
Knowing that Flash is coming, I'm kind of like, why wouldn't you just give her a sonic scream? But pretending that I don't know that, I never would have, like, it's a really obvious way to just make that power in a more realistic universe, and I never, would have thought of it. I didn't think she was going to have anything resembling the sonic scream. I thought she was just going to be another vigilante. So I thought that was really cool. I really dug that.
Yeah, it's really consistent with the way they've done tech in this universe and the way they've done in the way they've done bringing in villains and other characters and making them what they were in the comics, but making it more grounded for this world. Yeah, I liked that a lot. And I had the same note you did about the whole Flash thing. I'm still not convinced he's going to have real superpowers.
He's got to, right?
Well, yeah, I guess, but I have a hard time buying that that's the very first supernatural thing they'll do. I think that's really interesting. I mean,
I'm kind of
I want to know.
I really hope that's not the only supernatural thing they do, because
Yeah, me too.
it's gonna be annoying if it's like, so that guy that ran fast, that was weird, right?
That's going to be really glaring. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the real quick. I guess we'll go back and forth because I have some notes too. Let's talk about the name thing. Finally, we've got Officer Lance kind of obligatorily calling Green Arrow the Arrow now instead of the Hood, and I like that we're finally using that. But I still don't get why we couldn't have done it last season. And by the way, some of our listeners have complained about us talking so much about the name thing because it's like, why does it
It
matter? And the
makes
thing
a
is,
big deal out of the name itself.
it wouldn't matter if it weren't for the fact that in the first episode of this season they end it with a cliffhanger. Like, we're gonna give him a name, and so it's asking me to care about that, and so it's just irritating that they haven't followed up on it yet because they have Diggle directly say, "What do you want to be called?" So isn't it kind of easy and convenient that 2 episodes after that we finally have Lance calling him the Arrow, and he didn't come up with it?
I'm bothered by the fact that Ollie specifically said I need to be called something different, and then completely outside of that land, because I never thought of the Hood as a specifically negative thing. Like, I could see, like, I never saw it like hoodlum ties. It's because he wears a hood. So the idea of changing what you called him just seems weird, anyways.
Well, I do like the idea here because to be fair, his exact line at the end of that episode was, "I don't want to be called the Hood anymore," and it is well placed because he doesn't say that until a gang of people calling themselves the Hoods start killing
Yeah,
people.
that's true.
So that's okay. And he also doesn't directly say, "I need to be called something else." It's just that Diggle says, "What do you want to be called?" And then he has that look at that arrow like he has an idea, but then he doesn't do anything with
And
it.
why is the Arrow better than Green Arrow? I don't
That's TV drama at its worst. I don't like that.
know.
But to be fair, you did say that you'd rather him be called Arrow than nothing.
Yeah, I guess so.
So I'm just saying we at least got a little bit of a victory there, but it's done in a weird way. It looked like he was going to come up with a name. Anyway, I don't want to belabor it. Give us another note, Eric.
Okay, this one's gonna be weird. It my note is hot dog with a question mark. Okay, so he Detective Lance, or not detective, beat cop Lance goes to this hot dog stand, gets a hot dog. The guy tries to give it to him for free. He's like, no, I'm gonna buy it. He gets a call. Like, I don't remember. I don't remember exactly, but there's like a police call. He just chucks the hot dog.
Why didn't he just eat it on his
I
way?
don't. I was wondering, are the hot dogs bad, and he wants to support like a local guy? Like, I couldn't figure out if that was a character moment or if it was supposed to be like, oh, he's in a rush.
I have no idea what it was because the look on his face doesn't change. I had the same note. Like the look on his face doesn't change, so I can't tell if he threw it because he got the call or if he just threw it because he wasn't actually hungry. I don't. Yeah, I did not understand that. I'd love to know what the point of that was. My next note is I like that everybody again in this episode gets something interesting to do.
Oh yeah.
This is another one of those. We had a couple at the end of last season. The show's getting really good at this. Boy, everybody gets something to do. This was a really dense episode. I was kind of surprised to have all of the stuff with Moira in here. And finally, Thea doesn't get on my nerves because she has a reason for being there,
Yep,
and
I like Thea this episode.
I like what Roy had to do. I like that he's learning to do detective stuff, and I like that they have that they immediately start having him work with Oliver right away after that setup for it last episode.
Yep.
Everybody gets stuff to do. It's fantastic. Felicity, I guess when we have a everybody gets something to do though episode, the thing Felicity gets to do is always go be bait.
Well, Diggle didn't get a whole lot to do this episode.
Actually, that's a good point. He really didn't, but he was, I guess you're right. He was the one that was just sort of there. But he usually gets stuff to do in episodes where nobody else gets to do anything.
That's true.
So anyway, go ahead, give us another one.
All right. I've got this. I'm assuming this is. Oh no. Okay, never mind. Sorry. I thought for a second I thought I was about to click the X on the Skype. I've just got written that this episode was really, really dark. The way that the doll maker kind of looms around, like it's shot almost like a horror movie. I was wondering if that was an intentional, like, hey, Halloween's coming up thing.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even think of that. Maybe so.
But it's shot like he's scary, and when he calls Quentin that first time, and he's got that girl strapped down, there's the thing on her mouth. It's really dark and unsettling.
I felt a little wrong because I had my kid on my lap and I had to kind of put him down and have him go play or something.
Yeah, it's a really dark and twisted episode, and I really like that.
No, I liked it too. I mean, it reminded me a little bit of some of those darker, like horror type Smallville episodes. But I really liked it here because I feel like, and I mean, some of those are good. I'm just saying that very often in that show, the contrast was weird because it was kind of a family show, but then you suddenly do these big horror things. This show already has kind of a gritty underbelly to it.
Right.
And so we've already done some stuff like that here quite a bit, but yeah, this was one of the rougher of them with the villain. I just thought he was one of the most menacing villains we'd had in this show, and I liked the personal vendetta that Lance has against him. I felt like I cared more about it because of that. And the only thing I really resisted was that they killed him at the end because I kind of wanted to see him return.
No, I thought he was really, really good. I don't know if you want to wait till character or till comic references. Do you want to talk about the fact that it's Dollmaker and what a new character he is, and just I don't know, like he didn't stick out to me in the Detective Comics stuff. Did you even read that stuff past issue 1?
I didn't.
Yeah, like I didn't care.
No, but I mean it's interesting because he's based on the new version.
And he didn't cut anybody's face off.
Nope. He didn't do that. Was he even a surgeon?
I don't think so. What?
I don't think he was said to be a surgeon.
I don't think the Dollmaker is a new version. I think he's a new 52 creation. I don't think that's an old character.
No, it's an old character, but the new version is credited to be created by Tony Daniel. No, there are two other dollmakers before that.
Oh, I assumed it was a new character because I'd never heard of him. My mistake then.
No, I had heard of that before.
Wikipedia doesn't say it exists.
Yeah, it does.
Does it?
That's what I was looking at it. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's probably one word, not two.
Anyway. The first one. Oh, you know what? Oh, this is interesting. No, it is a pretty new character, but only just before 52.
Oh, created by Sterling Gates. Wow.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
So it's still.
Well, I guess the reason I had heard of him was because he's new, not because he's been around a long time. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's fascinating. Well, we'll talk a lot more about that when we get to DC references because I have a couple things on that.
Okay.
Okay. What else? I like that the museum is called the Bisque Museum. Bisque is another name for a porcelain doll. Bisque doll, porcelain doll.
Oh, nice. I've got a thing about computer defenses. There's a line about how a lot of the major like corporations in the city have taken their systems offline because there were so many hackings last year, and I thought that was really clever.
That was cool. That was a nice moment for Felicity.
And I like that they were immediately like, well, we'll just do what we did we did last time with Merlin.
I want to know why Lance isn't questioning that Felicity works for Queen Industries and she's working with Arrow.
I don't know.
Because I know that they did the thing early on in season 1 where they thought that maybe Oliver was the Hood, and then he proved that he wasn't. But really, like this, I don't want to call this a mistake because I loved those two together in the last episode. But this whole notion of they're working together and he never thinks to go back and check that really bugs me.
Yeah, I could see that. Um, let's see, what else do I have? Okay, so they specifically say that there are 4 stores that carry the cream. Then that's how the doll maker picks out his victims, right?
Yeah.
3 of them have cameras on the inside. So he has to be getting them from the outside, or he has to be like waiting outside. How does he know which ones actually purchased that cream?
Unless he's got a feed into the
Well, because the only time we
cameras.
see it, that girl comes out and he's already in the car.
Yeah.
How does he know who? I mean, it's an interesting like serial killer tick, like who he picks, or like why he picks whoever. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't figure out how he would actually know because it's a small little thing. It's not, it's something that would be stored in their bag. You wouldn't see them carrying it out.
Also, if he did have some kind of, they don't say that he does, but if he had some sort of surveillance on all those stores, wouldn't it strike him as odd that she was going into multiple ones the same day?
Yeah,
So that can't be it, because that would immediately tip him off that something was off.
yeah. I don't know. That seemed like a weird kind of open hole.
So, what do you think of the whole death penalty thing?
I actually have that as my best moment.
Oh,
I thought
really?
that scene was phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought it was really great too.
The DA's whole speech about 503 conversations wouldn't convince me. Not that she doesn't deserve this. I think. Well, you know what? I'll wait for predictions. Because I've there's a thing there.
The thing I thought was really interesting about that, that I wonder if they won't play out more later because they don't talk about this, but I immediately thought of it, is um, the death penalty is the thing Oliver did by himself as judge, jury, and executioner all last season.
Right.
And now his mother is on trial for murder, and she might get the death penalty. And the law is for capital punishment, and he isn't anymore. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I think that that's. I'm wondering if he's gonna bring that up, or if that's just supposed to kind of be like a thematic thing.
Yeah, if it stays subtle, I think that's great. But I do think that that's intrinsically there. Yeah, I think that's neat. I love the action in this episode.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
The chase sequence where, because you've got this random sidekick character from Black Canary named Sin, and I didn't look her up. I don't know if she's comic book,
I've
but
never heard of her. The only sin I know is Red Skull's daughter.
there's this girl that's working with Black Canary, and Roy's got to chase her down so he can find Black Canary. And not only is it a really thrilling chase scene, I mean, like Roy gets a couple of great stunts in that scene, but then there's the great reveal of the clock tower.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that. I was like, yeah, Birds of Prey, do it up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and they've already talked about that they kind of want to do a Birds of Prey thing.
I don't know, that's really exciting. I mean,
Um,
what a way to bring all that kind of stuff back when that show ended up not working out, but all the iconography in it is still very TV worthy.
oh, absolutely.
Granted, we did already do the clock tower thing in Smallville, so it seems like we can't have a DC show on CW without a clock
It
tower.
is a really good visual base, and
Yeah,
and I
great.
thought Green Arrow's original base in Smallville looked remind me of the clock tower from Birds of Prey.
Well,
Um,
yeah, then that's what it was. Well, remember the Chloe's working name was Clock Tower
yep. No, it was Watchtower.
or Watchtower. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that was a Justice League thing, but um,
But she operated from there, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, give us another
All
note.
right. Well, we haven't talked about the island at all.
Yeah, let's do
And
that.
there's not a lot of island stuff. This is one of those episodes on the island where it kind of feels like we need to get from point A to point B and make it look like it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, except that the reveal at the end is way more interesting than either of the other two this season.
Oh, no, no, absolutely. But I feel like everything getting there wasn't really all that important.
No, it wasn't, except that it made me question a little bit just how right or wrong we are about thinking that
I
Slate
I don't
is
think it's a
after
love thing.
Shadow.
I think it's a brotherhood thing. I think that him and Ollie went through stuff together, and they're kind of like fellow soldiers. I think that's how Slade sees it.
And he doesn't like the third wheel.
He doesn't like the third wheel, and he thinks that she's gonna get Ollie hurt. Um,
I
Also,
really hope that's where they're actually going with it. But boy, he had some puppy eye looks last
he
episode.
got really burned up. Like we see him on fire rolling. I really want to know where that's going. I'm wondering if I the first time I thought his head was on fire, and the second time couldn't I couldn't see. It looked like maybe it was just his hands. I was wondering if like part of his face was going to get burned, and that's how he loses his eye. Um, but he's specifically getting like burned and screaming and rolling. Um, and we see it, and I thought that was kind of interesting that they did that. But yeah, no, I thought it's one of those island episodes where it was just kind of them moving from point A to point B, and then we get the boat thing, which I watched twice. I paid really close attention. Does the back of the boat say something that's a reference? Because I couldn't read it.
I couldn't see it either.
I felt like it was maybe something, but I couldn't make it out.
The only other stray note I really wanted to mention before we get into the rest of this is I like that we get to learn at least something about Black Canary.
Yeah, the whole League of Assassins thing,
Yeah, that's exciting.
that was really exciting, and I didn't see it coming.
And I also really enjoyed how the guy in the hood shows up and he's in shadow, and we're supposed to think it's Green Arrow, and I did. I bought
I
that
didn't think
hook,
it was
line.
Green Arrow. I thought it was Merlin. I thought that's what you were
Oh,
supposed to think
okay.
it was. I was like,
Well,
oh man, he's still alive. And then when he steps forward, it looks like Merlin's outfit, and then he takes the mask off.
does that mean Merlin was League of Assassins?
I think Merlin's Batman. I said that last season that he's evil Batman.
He's evil Batman. So you think that he was trained by Ra's al Ghul?
I think his wife died. He left to find a way to fight crime, was trained by Ra's al Ghul, and then came back and destroyed part of the city.
And then Ra's al Ghul's like, my great love. And then he's like, what a coincidence. I had one of those too.
Yeah, that's what I think happened.
Do you have any other stray notes?
I just one about Black Canary's mask, and that it looks really good, and that the Arrow comments on it, and I'm wondering if maybe we're finally going to get him to stop painting his face, and he's going to have a mask.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even think of that. I just like that he says nice mask, and I agreed with him.
Yo, no, it's a really cool mask.
It's a good costume overall, and I mean, we've had like 3 Black Canary costumes in CW shows now, so there's been time
I
to
think
perfect
this is the best looking one.
It definitely is. But this show has good costumes overall.
Oh yeah.
Well, what was your best moment?
No, we already talked about that.
Okay, we talked about your best moment.
What was your best moment?
Well, I'll tell you, mine was Lance and Arrow on the roof.
That's a good moment.
I thought that was a good scene. Did you have a worst moment? I couldn't come up with one. I was pretty happy about everything.
My worst moment is actually kind of a worst line, which is what I said we'd get back to when we talked about Laurel and Quentin. There's this awful line that Laurel has where it's, whatever guilt you're feeling is just justifying a vendetta. I was like, wow, really, really obvious writing. Like, that doesn't sound like anything a single person has ever said intentionally.
I don't know, man. I said that to my wife the other day.
She came home from work, and I was just like, whatever guilt you're feeling.
Yeah, well, she was angry with somebody at work because they ate her sandwich, and
no,
she was guilty about it because she actually ate somebody else's sandwich 2 weeks prior. And then she just blamed this other person because of the sandwich fiasco. Well, I'll tell you, I didn't want to call this my worst moment because this is maybe somewhat of a nitpick, but I don't know. I don't know if it is. This irritates me. I don't buy the way the cliffhanger was resolved.
That that Black Canary
That
just dropped in.
Well, I can buy that because she's trained by League of Assassins. She's a ninja, and she can possibly be kind of invisible or whatever.
And she
So I could
apparently is just following Green Arrow.
I guess she's just following him around. Now that makes me wonder if she's actually been inside his headquarters or not. No, the thing that bugged me about it is you're telling me that all of those cops showed up via silent alarm?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Well, didn't we have the discussion last week how long were they waiting there for him
Well,
to
that's what I'm saying, but Diggle has this throwaway line where he says, "Well, half the police force showed up with that silent alarm." That doesn't make any sense
No.
because he was there for all of 5 seconds and then she turns on the lights and there's all those
It
people.
doesn't
So
make
if
any less sense than they've all been waiting there for hours until he showed up.
well, that's not practical, but at least is physically possible. Anyway, I don't know. It's not a big deal, but yeah, that's another one of those just for dramatic TV nonsense. All right, let's get into what's the big idea. Themes and stuff kind of obvious here. Did you write anything down?
Yeah, I had perceived sins. I both Laurel, uh, Quentin, and Oliver are all and Oliver's mom are all dealing with things that they think are their fault and their responsibility based on things that aren't entirely their fault. All of them seem to be atoning for sins that they didn't actually commit. Laurel with Tommy's death, uh, Quentin with just kind of everything. He really seems to be trying to make up. Oh no! The Quentin thing was the doll maker. He holds everything the doll maker does. He personally kind of takes responsibility for. Uh, Oliver's mom has taken responsibility for all of these deaths that she was kind of responsible for, but was kind of actually working against. Um, that just seemed to be a thing running through this episode. Was a lot of people kind of taking the fall for things that aren't necessarily their fault. Which we didn't mention the mom and the secrets.
Yeah, I've got that in predictions. I wanted to talk about that because I really really wonder what it is. But I like that because that gives her more of a reason to still be around.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's kind of what I picked up on this episode. Was there was a lot of atonement for things that are kind of nebulously their fault.
If Malcolm is a member of the League of Shadows or of Assassins, God, I'm gonna do that this whole season.
Well, they
If
haven't
she,
actually named it yet in the series, so you can go either way.
well, we know that episode 5 is called that,
Oh,
so
right.
we know they're gonna go with that. But anyway, yeah, if Malcolm was with the League of Assassins, then my guess is she knows about the League and
Hmm,
that's part of the big secret she's keeping.
maybe.
One of the themes I wrote down is kind of both sides of lawful justice versus vigilante justice, and which one or which ones is ever actual justice. So we have the question of can justice always be served within the rules of the law, and we have that with the idea that the cops were spread too thin, and so Lance has to use Arrow to help him out against the Dollmaker. And I really liked, by the way, that even though Oliver's not killing people, he still goes a lot farther than Lance is comfortable with. And it's interesting to see Lance have to stand there and watch him do terrible things to people, and have to find a way to be okay with it. But then we have the flip of that with the courtroom, as we were talking about earlier, with the question of is the law always just? Because now we've got the actual lawful potentially killing when our hero is against that. And then obviously with Dollmaker we have the objectification of women.
Right. Which I thought
Guest
was really
stars.
interesting because they set
Oh,
up
sorry.
earlier that Black Canary specifically targets men that target women.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Guest stars, really, there's only one big one this time. It's Michael Eklund, who is the guy who plays the Dollmaker, and I knew him from nothing at all, but looked up his IMDb, and he's got a bazillion credits of a lot of really random, mostly small parts in things. I saw that he had a credit for Watchmen, and I went, "Ooh, who is he a Watchmen?" And then and then he's just one of the guys in the riot. I'm like, oh, okay. So he got to be on that set.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite line?
I had the line that made me laugh the most because I think it's a Terminator 2 reference is after Ollie shoots the Dollmaker's lawyer with an arrow and Quentin freaks out. He just goes, "He'll live," which I thought was funny because it reminded me of Terminator 2, where he shoots the
Oh,
guy in the leg and goes, "He'll live."
I didn't think of that. I get okay. I I don't know if you're reaching or not.
I don't know because it's the exact same scene. In Terminator 2, he shoots him in the leg. He goes, "I thought you said you weren't killing anymore." He goes, "He'll live." And in this, he shoots him in the shoulder, and Quentin freaks out and goes, "I thought you weren't killing anymore." And he says, "He'll live." I think it's the exact same scene.
Well, my favorite line is from Lance, and I'm glad I got a Lance line because he was definitely my favorite character all the way through this episode. He is sometimes very brutally honest and says the thing that the viewer is thinking. And that's when he says to Laurel, in reference to the way Tommy dies and how the arrow is not
This
responsible
was
for it.
almost my favorite line.
He says a guy with an arrow can't save a guy who had a building fall on his head.
Yep, that was almost my favorite line. That was my runner-up.
That's good stuff. Okay, let's go on to comic references. There were a million this episode. I found tons and tons and tons of them. What did you have?
My like kind of obscure one that wasn't Dollmaker and Ra's al Ghul was Metamorpho Chemicals.
Yep. And that makes me wonder if they're not going to do Metamorpho.
I don't know. I told you that I found somebody mentioned that episode like 3 of season 1. They mentioned the company and the device that gets used at the end. So
Oh,
I'm
I didn't even
wondering if
catch that.
that might be a red herring or something, or not red herring. I'm wondering if that might be a setup for something. And that device is named after um, Geoforce. The I don't know what team he's from.
Because they could just be referencing things to be cool and just do it multiple times because they've done it already and it's there. But remember that we got Vertigo before we got Count Vertigo.
Right.
So there's every possibility. Well, I gotta tell you, I am getting sick of the number 52.
I didn't mention that because I thought we mentioned that before, so I didn't have that marked.
Well, we mentioned Channel 52, but the number is everywhere this episode. And it's getting kind of ridiculous how often it pops up. And I'm sort of like, okay, I get it. It's DC New 52. Okay. It's mentioned in two other places besides that. Well, actually, we don't even get the channel this time. But
Yes, we do.
in the BIS Museum. Oh, do we see it again?
Yeah. Because Ollie gets a text when he's talking to Thea, and it says "Turn on the news." He goes, "Turn on channel 52."
Okay. Did you? Well, that was last episode.
No, that was this episode.
Oh, they did it again?
Yeah, they did. They did it again.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, maybe they didn't do it last time. I thought I remembered that from last
No,
time,
no,
but
no, because Thea's sitting there and she's complaining about she got one. She's short a crate of wine. Um,
oh, you're right. Yeah. Okay, so they did it there too. Well, that means they did the 52 thing 3 times this episode. Did you notice the other ones?
no, I only noticed the news channel one.
Okay, when they go to the BIS Museum, the room they break into that the Dollmaker was in is room 52.
Okay.
And also when and I didn't notice this till the second time I watched it, but when Lance throws the hot dog away and he's listening to the police radio. I don't know what this was supposed to be a reference to, if it was like a cop number or what it was a number for, but the cop in the radio says DC 52. They are playing that up
I
way too.
want to know, is there someone watching this show that doesn't know comic books that thinks that that's like the symbol in Heroes like 52 means something, and it's
Like,
seeing
yeah,
like
like it keeps popping up, and they're just waiting for like the big symbolic reveal. Yeah, don't do that because it ain't coming, folks. That's not coming. Well, obviously, we've got the doll maker. We talked about him. He broke out of Iron Heights, which is prison in Keystone and Central City from the comics.
I knew it was an actual prison in DC. I didn't know where it was from though.
We mentioned the clock tower. We haven't mentioned Ra's al Ghul yet. Were you surprised?
I was shocked. I mean,
I
I
was
knew he was
shocked.
coming. I guess really my big shock was that Black Canary's working for him.
Well, I knew League of Assassins was coming. I didn't think they'd go as far as to actually do Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, I've got questions about that.
Yeah, well, we'll get there.
Oh,
I
I just saw. Here's another comic reference. Apparently, the boat's name is Amazo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, the last one I had is Mathis's lawyer is named Tony Daniel,
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
and it's cool they did that because he created the doll maker that's in the show.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and go into predictions. This is going to be another long segment because we have lots of things to talk about. Let me tell you my big one, Eric. I think, and again, this is going to be wishful thinking. This is one of those, this is what I think they ought to do kinds of things. If I was this show, I would make Laurel the second Black Canary and have her be trained by the first one.
I would develop a relationship between the two of them and have the first one get killed by the League of Assassins and have Laurel carried on.
Because we've been complaining that, oh man, they cast a Black Canary, that means Laurel's not becoming Black Canary. But the thing I kept forgetting about, and I don't know why I didn't think about it till just now, I guess it's because of the League of Assassins for some reason, and the idea of lineage and that sort of thing, is I'm thinking, oh yeah, in the comics, that Black Canary, Dinah Lance, is the second one. Like, there's a Black Canary before her.
I didn't even know that.
So, and that's also how they did it in the Birds of Prey TV show,
Oh,
except it was her mother.
yeah, yeah. It was her mother, and it was very much uh, Sally Jupiter kind of a thing.
Or at least maybe I'm just projecting that from the TV show. Maybe that's not how they ever did it in the comics.
No, I'm looking right now. They didn't.
But I thought it was. They didn't.
Nope.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
Well,
well, she was originally Dinah Drake, but
okay.
it's essentially the same character though.
So there weren't two Black Canaries.
No.
Okay. Well, maybe they thought of that. Maybe they're thinking of that because of the TV, because of the old TV show, or maybe they're not thinking that at all, and I'm just crazy. But I guess just because I am familiar with the idea of two Black Canaries, I thought, oh well, they could just have her be the second one.
I
Anyway,
don't
I
think
hope
they
they
have
go.
any idea where to go with her.
Well, the only reason I say I hope they go there is because A, there's freaking no reason for her to be named Dinah Lance if she's never Black Canary, and B, as you said, she's not going anywhere right now.
No, well, we get to the end of this episode and she has her breakdown, I kind of was like, okay, so while I didn't like where she was before, what does she do now? She now serves this show in no way. I'm calling it. I think she's going to die.
Well, and because she serves this show in no way, there was a part of me for a brief second that thought they might kill her off
I
here.
had that too.
I mean, I very quickly went no, but I thought about it for a second.
Yep, yep. Same here.
Okay,
Um,
what prediction do you have?
I'm going to predict that this is in some way tied to other DC properties. I don't know what. I don't know if it's going to be the upcoming Batman or if they're going to somehow try and say that this is in the same universe as The Dark Knight. Ra's al Ghul feels, I don't know, that feels like it's crossing the line too much Nolan. I'm wondering if they're just going to try and say this is in the same universe as Nolan.
Yeah, I had the same thought. I don't see how they could do that.
This is far more fantastical than Nolan's universe, but I don't know. Ra's al
Well, I
Ghul
don't know that
feels
it's that much more, but I just feel like they've done some beats and references and things here and there that it would be a little bit strange if it ended up being the same universe. But also just doing right. I mean, the big note I wrote here was, how are they going to make him different?
I want to know, does
What do you do with him?
when the series was first coming on, a lot of people were like, "Ah, well, it's just kind of a Batman show, but they don't use Batman." Ra's al Ghul's a big Batman villain. I
Yeah.
feel like it's moving towards just being a Batman show.
And I feel like if you can use Ra's al Ghul, what's stopping you from bringing in a bunch of other Batman villains?
Well, we already have some of them.
No, I mean like other major A-listers that are very, very Batman
Oh,
villain.
like the Joker.
But you're right. Well, I mean, I don't need to go there, but you're right. I mean, we have Deadshot, we have Deathstroke, but those are characters that are often in
Well,
Justice League
Deathstroke's
stories,
not a
other not Batman things. Here, using Ra's al Ghul, that's a straight up Batman villain,
Yeah.
just straight up.
It feels weird.
Has there ever been a Green Arrow story with just him and Ra's al Ghul?
I don't think
Is there
so.
any precedence for Ra's al Ghul as a Green Arrow villain?
I can't think of anything. Um,
What I really wish is if you could do Ra's al Ghul, just bring Batman in somewhere.
yeah, that'd be cool. They're not going to do it, but it feels weird. I kind of wish they'd done what I said last season, where okay, you can't use Ra's al Ghul, use Vandal Savage, and just kind of use him in that same role.
Except there's a part of me that's kind of excited that if they're doing League of Assassins, they're not doing it halfway.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the other thing. I wonder, and I don't know if they would do this. I wonder if the idea isn't we're gonna keep talking about Ra's al Ghul, but we never show him.
That could be interesting. I don't think that's the case, given that they mentioned it by name, and we have an episode called League of Assassins coming up. I think we're going to see him.
Well, they're not gonna do it the way I'd like to see them do it, Eric. What I'd like to see them do is just bring in Ken Watanabe and let him be the real Ra's al Ghul this time.
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
That's what they should do. Just because I want to hear that accent again.
Yeah.
That
I'm
that'd be great. Do you think that the boat at the end is a League of Assassins boat?
no.
You don't? That's what I thought.
I think they want you to think that, and I think it's the same thing last season, where we spent the entire season being like, all right, so Deathstroke's going to come to the city. I don't think anything on the island is ever going to be directly parallel connected to the plots going on now. Um, I could be wrong. It could be a League of Assassins boat, and maybe Ollie gets some training there. I don't know, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I was really jumping back and forth, wondering, okay, does Oliver already know about the League of Assassins, or is it going to be that like he has no clue and this is all gonna pounce on him, but his mother knows everything? And I
Yeah,
think that's more likely, don't you?
yeah. I think his mom is tied up with League of Assassins. Um, I mean, do we think that League of Assassins is the big bad this season?
Yeah, given that they're setting it up this early.
I gotta tell you, I'm surprised we've seen the Queen so little. Given that she's kind of a bigger name actress, at least for TV, we got that scene in episode one. We're 2 episodes in, and we haven't seen her again.
Yeah, and I got the sense she was supposed to be a big recurring character through the whole season.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she will be. The thing is, we haven't had any reason the last couple episodes to do much corporate stuff.
Well, we just had last episode with Brother Blood and all of that. We could have
That's
easily had a scene last episode where she yelled at Oliver for making their company look bad.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, no, I'm wrong about that. And frankly, I had enough issues with last episode that I would have been okay with scenes with her and then get rid of a couple other scenes.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, the thing is, I thought we were going to have her and Brother Blood kind of being dueling storylines, but she hasn't really been there. And I think the Brother Blood thing's going to develop. But I'm wondering if he's working for the League of Assassins. Um, and
yeah, I really don't think he is.
I'm wondering if they're going to do the League of Assassins or a more Nolanized version. Because League of Assassins, they just kind of show up and kill everybody, and they're almost like eco terrorists.
Yeah,
In Nolan's version, it's all about infiltration and kind of taking it down from the inside. So I'm not sure which way they're going to go here. I don't know if I should be looking around and wondering if people are agents of the League of Assassins, or
Well, there's not, but I mean, obviously, again, we know that they're called that, and they can still be League of Assassins and not just straight up show up and kill everything, because we know that Black Canary used to be a member of them, and she kills people.
Well, I'm specifically meaning I don't know if I should be assuming that some people in the show are like agents that have been sent in undercover.
Oh, undercover, yeah, good
Or
call.
because that's not a thing that the League of Assassins really does in the comics. That's very much a
Yeah,
Nolan thing. Um, I think we're gonna get. I think Ollie's gonna start wearing a mask, and I think we're gonna start seeing Black Canary training Roy.
yeah, I think you're right. No, I didn't think of that. That's a really good idea because I mean, he's already infiltrated their tower,
Yeah,
and they'll probably play up a thing where it's like, well, if yeah, you're right, because it's like, well, if the vigilante won't train me, I'll go to this other vigilante,
and I think
and she's gonna teach him how to kill, and Oliver's gonna not like that.
he's gonna have a thing for her, and I think there's gonna be a thing between her and Thea, even like not necessarily on screen like catty, but I think he's gonna go back and forth between her and Thea.
Good point, yeah, because Thea won't accept what he's doing, and she'll exacerbate it.
And she looks really good in the costume.
Well, yeah,
Um, but so I don't have a lot of predictions for this because a lot of it's just I don't know where they're going with it yet.
yeah, and I gotta tell you, 3 episodes in, I'm thrilled. I'm very excited.
This is clearly much better plotted than the first season.
Oh yeah, they got a plan. You can tell that they've reasoned this all
And
out,
three
and they know.
episodes in, it doesn't feel like first season we had a lot of episodes in that first half that felt like they just didn't have anything to do, like the Royal Flush Gang. That had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, just throwaway
The
stuff.
Firefly episode, not a bad episode, but didn't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah, this is straight up serialized narrative at this point.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really digging where this is going, but there's so much here where it's just we are just getting the beginnings of a mystery. I don't have enough to like kind of make guesses.
Well, let's go ahead and go on to trivia questions. What was your trivia question from last week, and what was the answer?
My trivia question from last week was in the original incarnation of Roy Harper, who trained him because he was raised on a Native American not plantation reserve, and the answer was Brave Bow. Brave Bow is the person that trained him or raised him.
And like a bunch of people in the comments got that.
Yeah. Well, it's like the first thing in his Wikipedia page.
My question from last time was how many people to the nearest 100 were killed in the Glades when the earthquake machine went off? It was 500, exactly, it was 503, and I wrote that thinking people wouldn't think 503, but now that's become a big motif where everybody's saying that. 503 people died. Now it's obvious. Everyone's going to remember it. What's really funny is last time I said, okay, everybody, don't worry, I won't put up a picture that actually has the thing in it, like I did with the bagels. But I was putting together my little collage, and I was finding pictures. And Eric, I kid you not, I almost put in a picture that had that on it. Because I found a picture of the picketers outside, and one of them said 503 on the sign.
You should have done that.
Yeah, that would have been great. But I saw that and I caught it, and I went, no, I'm not doing that because that's gonna make me look really bad. What is your trivia question for this week?
My trivia question for this week is what food is Oliver Queen famous for making?
Pancakes.
No.
Okay. My question for this time is, what is Quentin Lance's middle name? So anyway, everybody, thanks always for listening to Air Discussions. We'll be back with you again next week. And like I said, Eric, the best word I can think of right now is thrilled. I can't wait to see the next one.
Absolutely.
Things going really well, and I love like making predictions, but really not knowing where they're going. They've been pretty good at staying, and I thought last season toward the end they were pretty good at this too, managing to stay pretty unpredictable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, we'll see you next time. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.